Hi there, welcome back. Hello my beautiful beings, how are you today? So in this beautiful video we wanted to talk about how hurt people hurt others. And for me, the first time I was able to see it was when I was doing it. It became so clear to me. It was in the course of my second depression. I had just done IVF after 15 years of waiting to have a baby, and it just went wrong. I ended up with ovarian hyperstimulation. I ended up in the hospital for 2 weeks, and I ended up losing that baby. The very first baby that was ever placed inside me. And it just didn't work. And I was so angry. I was so depressed. I just didn't want to live anymore. You know, for me, a depression is a point in my life where I just don't want to be here anymore. I am done, you know. And so I pray and pray and pray to be taken. I just don't want to be here. So what came out of that, the gift of that moment for me, was that I was so hurt. I was hurting so much inside. I was so devastated at the time that I'd lost that baby after waiting for so long to become a mother, you know. And it was something I dreamed of it since I was 15. At the age of 15, I remember having a dream that I was going to have these beautiful twins. And, you know, I'd been working for over 30 years with children, teaching piano. I loved being around them, you know, and it just felt like, when is it going to be my time, you know? And so when we tried the IVF and it didn't work, and I ended up, you know, almost dying in the hospital because of my reaction to it. There was one night I was touch and go. I wasn't sure if I was going to make it to the next day. And I think I kind of fought to stay because at the time I thought the baby was still inside. The baby was okay, the one they had implanted, you know, at the time. So what came from that beautiful event? You know, we look at these things and we think, oh, depression, and I didn't want to be here anymore, and I didn't want to talk to anyone, and I was in that state, and we look at it and we think it's a bad thing, you know, that it was a negative experience. But for me, every experience has a gift. I've learned with time that everything happens for a reason. And with that beautiful event, what happened was that for the next almost year, I was in this space, you know, of, I didn't want to talk to anyone, you know. And when people would approach me, my sister, my cousin, like people would come to try and talk to me after the baby, I was like, you know what? No. And I was incredibly rude to so many people. And I just lashed out with all my anger. All that suppressed anger up until that time was ready to be, you know, let loose. And so I let loose. You know, I didn't hold back anymore because I thought, well, I don't want to be here anymore, so I don't care. I literally didn't care at the time. Who got hurt by what I said or what I did? I just, you know, I don't care. And I was just in this really dark place, you know. But from there, I understood that when we are hurting inside, because this was the first time in my life that I was in so much pain and I took it out on everyone around me. You know, to this day, I don't even know how my husband's still here because I wasn't rude or anything to him, but I kind of just stopped talking. I just didn't want, you know, I spent that Christmas crying. It was like nothing mattered. I just didn't see the point of being here anymore, you know. And it wasn't that my husband didn't matter or the beings that were in my life didn't matter. I was living out my beautiful human experience. And to me, there was no point in being here in my human experience. You know, I knew if I left, you know, in the sense of if I died, because I didn't want to go anywhere, I didn't want to be with anyone else. But I knew that if I died, he would move on. He would find another partner. And perhaps, you know, things would work out. He'd have the child that, you know, he'd been wanting to have all this time as well. And all these things would work out for him with a new partner, with someone else, you know. So I knew he would be all right. It wouldn't be the end for him, you know. But like I said in a previous video, the first depression I had, I felt so alone, and yet I was surrounded by family. And I had the partner at the time who I thought was the love of my life. I already had that partner, but I felt so alone. I felt so lonely. Like I was talking a language and everyone around me was talking a different language. It's like being in a country where you don't know how to speak the language and you can't communicate with the people around you. That was my first depression. I felt like I'd sunk into this hole and I couldn't get myself out of it. You know? But the second depression, that's what I got from the first one. I learned that you can be lonely surrounded by all the beings that you supposedly love and that supposedly love you. You can still feel incredibly lonely and alone and unsupported, even with all these beings in your life. With that, I also learned they're not the answer. They're not the answer to the love that you're looking for. They're not the answer to the approval that you're looking for. They're not the answer to the acceptance that you're looking for. These beautiful beings, no matter how much they love you. That was me at the age of 21, surrounded by beings that loved me, but I didn't feel loved at the time. So moving on to the second depression, what I learned from that one was that pain that I had inside of me, I was hurting others because of that pain. And that's when I understood, I learned, oh, that's why hurt people hurt others. Because they already carry this pain inside of them. This pain of being unworthy, this pain of not deserving, this pain of not being good enough, being worthless, having no value. We carry so much pain and suffering inside. So this beautiful video is for you to sit with the times that you've been in pain, that you've been suffering, and to really look at, observe how you treated those around you. Because we can't help but be unkind when we're suffering inside, when there is no joy inside, only pain. We either shut everyone out, we just don't want anyone in, we don't want to talk to anyone. Or we're rude, we're unkind, we say hurtful things to hurt others so they can feel even just the tiny littlest bit how we're feeling inside. They can get a glimpse of that pain. So know within your heart that people that have been cruel to you are suffering inside. And as we said, that suffering could be they don't feel good enough. They may see your beautiful light. They may see your value. And they may feel they're not good enough to be in your presence. They're not good enough for your love. And that hurts. It hurts to be with someone you love, but you don't feel good enough to be with them. You don't feel worthy of their love. That was my first relationship. That's how I felt. And that hurts. Because when you love someone, you just want them to love you back. You want to be able to let that love in. You want to be able to feel that love. But when we are in pain inside, we don't allow that love in. When we don't feel worthy, when we don't feel good enough for another person's love, no matter how much they love you, we don't let it in. You can't let it in. So, my beautiful beings, they've asked me to do this video today. For those of you who don't, just to create awareness around people that hurt other people, people that have said unkind things to you, people that have said cruel things to you. Even if it's a bully at school. There are so many videos around bullying in my previous YouTube channel. I just had a thing for that topic, and I didn't realize until my last trip to South America. I always thought the bully was a kid at school or an older kid in your street, or it had to do with another kid. I didn't realize that our parents can be bullies too, and that I grew up with a bully in my house. I didn't realize that. That's why I was so passionate about that subject, about bullies. But a bully is someone that is hurting inside, and they are reflecting that pain out into the world, however that looks. And if they're putting you down, it's because they don't feel good enough. A person that feels good enough, a person that feels full of joy, has no need to be putting you down. They have no need to be making you feel less. They have no need to make you feel sad. Because when you're full of joy, just think of a moment that you've been so happy. What do you want to do? You just want to share that joy with everyone. Why? Because that joy is inside you. It's what you are being in that moment. And you want to share that with your loved ones, with your friends, with your family, with everyone around you. This joy. But the same goes for pain. When you're in pain inside, you can't help but reflect that back out into the world. It's just how energy works. If this is what you are being at the moment, it is what you are emitting out into the world. As a child, I would smile at people, and even if they smiled back, I could still see the pain in their eyes. I could still see it. The smile didn't take away from what was going on inside. And when they were joyful, I could see that too. Their eyes lit up, their eyes would sparkle. So, my beautiful beings, for me it was actually sitting down with that moment. And this book was, I'm trying to think now, that was 2010. Sorry, the IVF was in 2010. So my daughter was born in 2012. It wouldn't make sense it was 2020. So 2010 was the IVF, and I wrote the book. It was published in 2017. So it was like 5, 6, 7 years later. 5, 6 with the year, the year that I started writing everything down, and it was the beginning of 2017. I think it was March that it was published. In that time, I actually sat with that period, 2010, that year, what I'd been through, that suffering, and I really looked at it, and I really looked at how I was treating others. And I could see that I was emitting into the world what I was feeling inside. I was allowing myself to do that pretty much for the first time in my life, because up until that point, I was always taught to suppress. If I was angry, I wasn't allowed to express anger. Anger is bad. If I was afraid, I wasn't allowed to express. Fear means you're weak. If I was in pain, I wasn't allowed to express. We don't cry. It's not normal to be crying all the time. It's not a good thing to be expressing your sadness. All of these things I grew up with. I had suppressed and suppressed and suppressed for eons. And in 2010, I let loose. I was like, I'm done suppressing. This is how I am feeling. Deal with it. Whoever came my way. But that was the gift of that year. Understanding how hurt people hurt others. It doesn't come from a place of love. It doesn't come from a place of joy. It comes from a place of pain and suffering. All right, my beautiful beings, I don't know who these messages are for. It's what they are asking me to bring forward today. And I always trust that whatever message they want to put through, it will reach the right person at the right time. For them, for their journey. You know, it's funny, the last few days I've been thinking, you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. Whatever message that person needs to hear, whatever information they need, it'll be the information they need to receive. Doesn't matter how much you fumble through it to get the message to them. They will understand what that message means for them. They will receive the energetic shift, because these videos are more about energy than they are about the actual words. It's about shifting your energy from the lower vibrations, that you may get to the higher vibrations where you can talk to your spirit guides and have clear communication. But it's all energy. Everything you are receiving is energy. I remember, a few years back listening to Rika's videos, one of the courses that I've done in the past, and she always said that a lower vibrating glass of water will raise its frequency to the higher vibrating glass of water. So perhaps that's what you are doing here, looking to raise your vibration by releasing these lower densities that are in your energetic field at the moment. Resentment, unforgiveness, anger, fear, they're all lower vibrating energies. And we come here to have these beautiful human experiences. They're not right or wrong. But if you are here, my feeling is that you are looking to elevate your frequency. You are here to awaken. You are here to remember who you are. All right, my beautiful beings. We love you dearly. Remember to click like and subscribe so you don't miss any of the messages. And we'll see you in the next video, okay? Bye for now.